Good evening, all the joinees. Hi, this is Ashi. I welcome you all on behalf of NGEN Research for today's webinar. Meanwhile, others join in. Let us have a look at today's topic. So first, we'll be looking into comparison of existing client's portfolio with a model portfolio, followed by a prospective client's existing portfolio with again a model portfolio. Then we'll be looking into certain parameters and rolling return followed by drawdown analysis, and then a reporting option, which is PDF report that can be sent across as a proposal to your client. Lastly, the forum will be open for a Q&A session. Now, this is the landing page of the NGEN Markets. So for the purpose of webinar today, we'll be focusing on the clients and portfolio section, predominantly on comparing two portfolios. Now let us consider a scenario wherein one of your existing client, by existing client we mean they invest through your ARN or your RIA code. For example, Mr. Sam Bailey. So it is one of the client that is listed on the left hand side. He has a mutual fund and stock based portfolio. Now, his mutual fund will definitely be captured on the NGEN Markets login because you have done the RTA connection, which is onboarding existing clients' current mutual fund based holding. However, Sam Bedi has direct equity based portfolio, which is a stocks portfolio. Now, that will not be captured because it is not linked through the AIL. Now, he wants to move from direct equity to mutual fund based. So, he has come to you for that use case. Then let us understand how he can onboard the stock-based portfolio onto the platform. Now, in such case, ISIN upload option can be used. For that, we'll move towards the portfolios tab, which is the second last tab onto the platform. Now, once you move towards the portfolios tab, there's a plus icon on the top which states add a new portfolio. Now, once you click on the plus icon, you will get an option to load ISIN from Excel. Now here, there are two basic details that are required to be copied and pasted onto this gray box that is being provided. Now the first column should be ISIN and second column should be holding. Now this holding can be either in terms of percentage or in terms of amount or in terms of units or shares. Now let us say that this is the Excel sheet that is shared by Sam Bedi. Now it consists of the name of the stocks, the details of ISIN and holdings in terms of percentage. Now all you're required to do is copy this two column and then paste it onto this gray box. Once this is done, you will let the system know the readings of the holding. Now by default, it is amount, but what we have copy pasted is in terms of percentage. So we'll click on the drop down and we'll select percentage. And then all you have to do is hit validate input. Now, once this is done, you can see the name of the stocks as well as the percentage wise allocation, ensuring that it is 100% allocated. Then you can just give this portfolio a name. Now let us give this a name as Sam Bedi stock portfolio. Now, once this is done, you can click on create so that it gets saved onto your login. Once this gets created, you can anytime click on run. Now, as you can see, the portfolio of the Sam Bedi, which is stock based, we have saved. You can also see the current date and the time. Then you just have to click on this drop down and then hit on run for a detailed portfolio analysis. Now let us move towards the core topic, that is comparison of the existing client's portfolio with a model portfolio that you want to pitch to your client. Now there are two ways in which you can move towards comparing two portfolios tab. First is in this portfolios tab itself, On top, you can see a weighing machine icon which states compare to portfolio. Now, this is the landing page for compare portfolios. The other method is through this compares tab. Now, this is basically the landing page of the compares tab, wherein you can analyze the funds and stocks. Now, right beside compare securities is compare portfolios option. You just click on compare portfolios and you will be taken to the same page. Now, we will load a stock-based portfolio on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side is the portfolio 2. We load the model portfolio that we want to pitch to our client. Now, once this is done, you can custom your own start date as well. Now, let us analyze this for the period of past 5 years. So, I'll click on the drop down, select 2019, 2nd September, and then hit on go. Once this is done, the data accordingly gets generated. Now here you can see that Sam Bedi's stock portfolio consists of 16 stock, whereas this model portfolio is completely mutual fund based portfolio, which consists of 6 funds. Now there's a graphical representation as you can see. The green line represents the model portfolio, whereas the red line represents the stock based portfolio of Sam Bedi. Here you can see that model portfolio is outperforming the stock based portfolio. Also, now let us take a look at certain parameters. First would be the average annual return, which is basically the average of year-on-year return that is being generated. For stock-based portfolio, it is about 23%, whereas model portfolio, it is about 26%. So we can see that there is an excess of 2.32% that is being generated by the model portfolio. The second parameter that we'll be looking upon is the annual volatility, which is basically the measure of standard deviation, which is annualized. Now, this signifies the risk. Here we can see that volatility of the model portfolio is lesser, which is about 15% in comparison to the stock-based portfolio, which is about 19%. So here the differential is to an extent of 3.86%. Now, we can also take a look at one of the reporting option that we have provided, that is this PDF option. So on the top left hand side, you can see create PDF icon, which is right here. Now, once you click, you can definitely generate a capital based PDF report as well, which is amount based. Let us say that your client want to invest an amount of 10 lakh. So you just enter 10 lakh right here. Once this is done, then you have to just click on go and a PDF report will be generated. Now, this is how the PDF will look like. So you can see Sam Bedi stocks portfolio versus the model portfolio, and it comes with co-branding. So on the left-hand side, you would be able to see your company name and logo right here. And on the last page, you would be able to see how the 10 lakh is being distributed among the various stocks as well as the funds. That is this stock-based portfolio, which is our existing clients' stock-based portfolio, and a model portfolio that we want to pitch to our client. So this is how the 10 lakh is being bifurcated based upon the percentage-wise allocation. Now, this can be sent as a proposal even before executing the trade. So this was for the existing client stock-based portfolio versus the model portfolio, which was mutual fund-based. Now let us understand the second use case of comparing two portfolios, which is showing prospective client existing portfolio versus model portfolio. Now this portfolio that prospective client has provided can be a combination of both mutual fund and stock. Let us say that they have provided you with their e-cash statement, which needs to be compared with the model portfolio. Let us understand how to onboard the e-cash statement. Now for that, in this launch tool section on top, you can see that there is an option of statement analyzer. All you have to do is click on the statement analyzer. Now here, you can upload the client's NSDL, CDSL or CAMS e-cash statement, and this should be in the PDF format. please make sure that there is no modification as such that is being done to this particular ECAS that you would be uploading. Now, all you have to do is click on choose file and select the ECAS that you want to upload and then hit on open. Once this is done, all you're required to do is fill in the password, which is basically the PAN number. Once this is done, then you just have to click on check file and there will be a prompt stating that it is a recognized file type. Now you can also give it a label, which is completely optional. Now let us take, for example, like this is a prospective client for the month of September. So let us give it a label as September prospect. Once this is done, all you have to do is then click on process and save file. Now it will take 30 seconds to get loaded. Once this gets loaded, you will be able to see it on the right hand side. Now once this is done, you can see the label that we have given, the name of the client, as well as the date and time as to when this was uploaded. Now if you wish to see a report, all you have to do is click on this report like icon which is right here. Once you click, you will be able to see what are the holding towards the funds as well as what are the holdings towards the stocks. Now, if you want to run an analysis for this ECAS that you have uploaded, all you have to do is head back to the NGEN Markets platform. And in the portfolios tab itself, you have to repeat the similar procedure like we did for ISI. So in the portfolios tab, again, we'll click on this plus icon, which states add a new portfolio. And then there is an option to load statement analyzer. You just have to click on it and there is this plus icon which is right here. Once you click on the plus icon, you will be able to see the funds which are represented with this bag-like icon and stocks which are represented in this bar chart-like icon. Now it will automatically get saved or be displayed based upon the name of the client. If you wish to edit, that can also be done. Also, you can select the folder wherein you want this particular file to appear, and then you can just click on create. Now, once you click on create, it will get saved onto your login, and anytime you can run this for a detailed analysis. So you can see on top Smith Agarwal and the recent date and time. You can just click on the drop down and then hit on run. Now moving back to the core topic, now let us compare the prospective client's portfolio, which we onboarded using the ECAS against a model portfolio. So again, we'll head back to the compare to portfolios tab, and I will replace the Sam Bedi's stock-based portfolio with Smith Agarwal's portfolio, which is basically the ECAS that we have uploaded. Now this will be compared with the model portfolio, which is already loaded on the right-hand side. Now, as you see, there are total 18 components in Smith Agarwal's portfolio, which is combination of both mutual fund and stock, against a model portfolio, which consists of 6 mutual funds. Now, also you can see a graphical representation for the same. So the green line represents our model portfolio, and the blue line represents the prospective client's existing portfolio, which is underperforming in comparison to the model portfolio. Now let us deep dive into certain of parameters. First would be this month to date. Now basically it tells us about the return that is being generated from start of the month, that is 2nd September 2024 till 26th September 2024. So you can see for Smith Agarwal, it is to an extent of 2.45, whereas model portfolio is to an extent of 2.59. So there is a differential, which means excess of MTD return generated by model portfolio of about 0.14%. Then we have is YTD, which is year to date, basically from start of the year, that is 1st January 2024 till 26th September 2024. Now here we can see Smith Agarwal, it is about 31%, and for model portfolio, it is about 28%. So the differential is there of about 2.11%. Now next parameter that we have is basically 1 year return, which is point-to-point return of the latest 1 year considering calendar years. Now here you can see For Smith Agarwal, it is about 46%, whereas for model portfolio, it is about 43%. Again, a differential of about 3.5%. Next is 3 years return. Again, it is a point-to-point return of latest 3 year considering calendar years. So we can see for model portfolio, it is about 21.9% in comparison to Smith Agarwal's portfolio, which is about 21.1%, which means excess of 0.86%. And 5 years works in the similar manner. So again, you can see for model portfolio, it is about 25.5%. And whereas for Smith Agarwal, it is about 23.9%. So again, you can see the excess return for 5 years was about 1.64%. Next parameter is basically cumulative return. Now, cumulative return is absolute or point-to-point return that is generated for the period of past 5 years. Because the start date that we have selected is basically analyzing it for the period of past 5 years. Now here we can see for model portfolio, it is about 225%, whereas for Smith Agarwal, it is about 208%, which means excess of 17.48% of cumulative return is being generated by model portfolio in comparison to Smith Agarwal's portfolio. The next parameter that we'll be looking upon is Sharpe ratio. So Sharpe ratio is risk-adjusted return, indicating how well the portfolio is performing in comparison to the risk that is being taken. Now here we can see that model portfolio has a Sharpe ratio of 1.14, whereas Smith Agarwal's portfolio has a Sharpe ratio of 0.96. So higher the Sharpe ratio, the better it is. So here we can see model portfolio is outperforming. Then we have is average day, which is basically the average daily return, which is equal for both Smith Agarwal as well as the model portfolio. Then we have average month, which is basically the average monthly return. So here we can see for model portfolio, it is to an extent of 2%, whereas for Smith Agarwal, it is to an extent of 1.98%, which means excess of 0.06%. Then we have average year, indicating the average yearly return. So here we can see for model portfolio, it is about 20.7%, whereas for Smith Agarwal, it is about 20.1%. Again, an excess of 0.60%. Now moving on towards up month and down month. So up month tells us that number of times or number of months wherein the positive return was generated. So out of 61 months, which is basically 45 plus 16, or you can say 46 plus 15. So what it is indicating is out of 61, 45 were such months wherein Smith Agarwal's portfolio was generating a positive return, whereas model portfolio, there were 46 such months. So we can see additional 1 month wherein the model portfolio was performing better in comparison to the Smith Agarwal's portfolio. Then we have down month. So down month indicates number of months wherein the negative return was being generated. So out of 61 months, we can see that there were 16 such months wherein Smith Agarwal's portfolio was not doing well, which is wherein they were generating a negative return. And in model portfolio, there were 15 such months. So there was one such additional month wherein model portfolio was performing better in comparison to Smith Agarwal's portfolio. Now next is down years. Now from 2019 till 2024 under consideration, there were no such years wherein the negative return was generated, though lower return was generated, as you can see in the graph. Though lower returns were generated, neither of the portfolio generated a negative return if we see on year wise. Now next we'll be looking upon is the asset allocation. Now here there is a black line which basically differentiates the data of the portfolio that we have uploaded for the purpose of side-by-side comparison. Here you can find the data related to or details related to Smith Agarwal's portfolio that we are analyzing, whereas the remaining 6 that you see is basically for the model portfolio. Now let us take a look in this asset allocation and then equity sectors. Now here we can see for Smith Agarwal's portfolio, the equity allocation is about 97%, whereas remaining is towards debt to an extent of 1.78%. Whereas if we compare it with the model portfolio's asset allocation, we can see about 80% is towards equity, whereas remaining 20% is towards debt. Also, you can see top equity sector for both of these portfolios. So for our prospective clients' existing portfolio, the highest allocation was towards bank as a sector, which was about 23.3%, and the second highest was towards IT software, which was to an extent of 8.13%. But if you look at the model portfolio's sector-wise allocation, the highest allocation was towards bank and sector, which was about 15.1%, and the second highest was towards finance as a sector, which was to an extent of 7%. Now let us check the underlying stocks for all of these sectors. So for that, we'll head towards this exposure tab, which is right beside the asset allocation. So once you head towards the exposure, you can see top equity wise exposure. So we can see HDFC Bank has the highest exposure to an extent of 5.99%, and second highest is State Bank of India, which is about 5.98%. But if you compare it with the model portfolio, highest allocation is towards HDFC Bank to an extent of 6.32%, and second highest is towards ICICI Bank, which is to an extent of 4.57%. Also, you can see market cap wise exposure for both of these portfolios. Now, here the highest allocation is towards large cap to an extent of 62%. Second highest is towards small cap to an extent of 90%. And then third highest is mid cap, followed by others, which is basically anything other than large, mid, and small, which is to an extent of 2%. Then we have is this model portfolio market cap exposure. So here we can see that the highest allocation is towards large cap to an extent of 54%. Second highest is towards others to an extent of 17%, whereas third highest is mid cap, fourth highest is small cap, which is 14% and around 11.8% respectively. Now let us take a look at the rolling returns for both of these portfolios. Now, rolling return talks about the consistency of the portfolio. Here, you can find the details for 260 days, which is basically 1 year working period, and 130 days, which is basically 6 months. So for Smith Agarwal, we can see that the average rolling return was to an extent of 24%, whereas for model portfolio, the average rolling return was about 25%. Similarly, you can see that the highest return that was generated for the period of 260 days was about 69% for the prospective client's existing portfolio, whereas for model portfolio, it was about 66%. But if you focus on the low, that is the lowest return that is being generated, we can see it was about negative 3.79 for Smith Agarwal's portfolio, whereas model portfolio, which is completely mutual fund based, the lowest return was to an extent of negative 0.44%. Now let us try to plot this high and the low return for both of these portfolios for 260 days roll. So we'll just turn this 130 rolling off and we'll try to locate it and see on which particular day was this best or the high or the low return that was being generated. So if you see for existing, the best return, which was about 69.16, was in 23rd March 2021. So if the investor would have invested exactly 260 days prior to this day, he would have been the luckiest to enjoy the return of about 69%. Whereas let us try to locate the date for the high return for the model portfolio as well. So again, it was 23rd March 2021, wherein the high return of 66.69% was earned. So if the investor would have invested exactly 260 days prior to this particular date, again, he would have been the luckiest to enjoy the return of about 66.69. Whereas now let us try to locate the lowest return. So it was 24th September 2020, wherein the lowest, that is a negative return of 3.79% that was generated. So if the investor would have invested exactly 260 days prior to this date, he would have been the unluckiest because then he would have been required to face a loss of about 3.79%. Whereas let us try to locate the same for the model portfolio as well. So if we try to locate this on graph, it would be somewhere around 14th October 2022, wherein the negative return of 0.44% was generated. So if the investor would have invested exactly 260 days prior to this particular date, he would have been the unluckiest because he would have been required to face a loss of negative 0.44. Now let us move towards the drawdowns. Now, drawdowns talks about the strength of the fund to recover from the loss. So basically strength of the portfolios to recover from its loss. Now, these are the details of the top 5 drawdowns. Also, you can find a graphical representation for the same. Now, this gray area basically highlights the loss period, whereas the white area highlights the recovery phase. Now, if you look at the existing portfolio, we can see that the highest number of days it took to recover from his worst loss was about 171 days. And the second highest it took was about 106 days. Whereas for the model portfolio, the highest number of days it took to recover was about 163 days. And whereas the second highest number of days it took to recover was about 58 days. So the model portfolio overall takes lesser number of days to recover in comparison to the prospective client's existing portfolio, or it does not stay in the loss for a longer duration. So this is what can be highlighted. Now let us understand the reporting option. As we have seen earlier, you can definitely generate a capital based PDF report. You just have to click on this icon. You can also generate a percentage based PDF as well. So for that, all you have to do is click on this option of standard PDF. Now, once you click right here, a PDF report will be generated. And again, it comes with co-branding. So again, on the left-hand side, you would be able to see your company name and logo. So this is the comparison of Smith Agarwal, that is our prospective client's existing portfolio, with the model portfolio. So a graphical representation is something that you can find. Also, all of the parameters that we were analyzing and differential mentioned on the last column. Similarly, you can see the asset allocation, sector-wise exposure, and the market cap allocation as well, which is basically the split between large, mid, small, and others. Then we have is this rolling return. And on the very last page, you can see the percentage-wise allocation for both Smith Agarwal's portfolio as well as the model portfolio. So this was it for today's webinar. The forum is now open for a Q&A session.
Hi.
Hi, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, just asking one question that in
Yes,
model portfolio and the portfolio which we have received, we had made a comparison of 5 years.
correct.
Fine, there may be funds which looks good, but they are not more than 3 4 years. And if we are
Yes.
comparing for 5 years,
Hmm.
would it be give an appropriate result onto this or not?
Yes, so portfolio analytics on the platform works on the logic that whatever is available, right, for the last 5 years, for example, in this portfolio, right, there are 6 funds. Let's say 5 among those are 5 years or older, and
Yeah,
one of it is, let's say, its launch is only 4 years old, right? So
right.
till the time the sixth fund hasn't launched, it will take into consideration that the portfolio was made up of only 5 funds, right? And automatically the portfolio performance will be adjusted. right? So initially, for the first 1 year that you see, it will show up portfolio performance considering the portfolio consisted 100% only to an extent of 5 funds. Only when the 6th fund launched, since then the portfolio consists of all the 6 funds, and it's an overall portfolio analysis that we'll be doing.
So it will auto adjust the returns
Auto
accordingly.
adjust. Yes.
Okay, and will not impact onto overall impact onto this, because we don't know that when the clients are holding these positions, when he has added, because
Yes.
because you don't capture that,
Correct.
we can
So
be sure about only our one portfolio, model portfolio. Apart from
correct.
this, we don't have any information whether the client has added during the year, the investment was through the SIP mode, STP mode, but value as on date, we are
Correct.
considering and taking their backdated 5 years comparison.
Correct. Absolutely right. And if you want to typically, go forward and want to analyze the portfolio only for the minimum common time period. That means for the time period with when all the holdings or all the components in the portfolio actually were trading, then you can definitely choose that date in single portfolio analytics. So what you can practically do is you go to the portfolio section. Let's load in a model portfolio, but I doubt it will be, yeah. So I will show you where the option is. So you go to the start date and you click on change. The moment you click on change, you will see the first option, which is minimum common period. That means
Okay.
if there is any younger fund, which is just 4 years old, it will automatically pick up that date.
Okay.
Right?
The
Since
least,
the date when all
which
the
is the
funds,
latest, any fund which has the
yes,
latest
correct.
initiation date, will it automatically adjust accordingly?
Yes, it will automatically pick up that date. That is correct.
Okay, and the rest of the funds will be adjusted accordingly. The zero start date, then there will be a zero start date for them.
Okay, so let me give you an example, right?
Yeah. Can you
So,
add some latest one into this
yes,
portfolio?
exactly. That is exactly what we were going to do. So just click on edit or save as, and let's go ahead and add in, let's say a PGIM large cap fund. Right. Give it a equal rescale to 100. Yeah. And update. Okay. Now click on run, please. Let this get loaded. And first, Ashi, change the start date to a 5-year-old period. Okay. Now, the moment we load 5 years, it says, okay, 24th September 2019. However, you see that click here to see start and end dates option at the top. The moment
Okay.
you click on that, you will be able to see the start dates of each of the funds under consideration. So in this case, every fund typically was there or rather had launched for the entire period of 5 years. There is no young fund here, right? Now, let's do 10 years as the start period, right? So let's change the start date and make it 2014 onwards. Yeah. Now click here again to see start and end dates. And there it is. So you see there is this Axis Growth Opportunities Fund. It has launched only in 2018. So until 2018, the performance of the portfolio that you can see in the blue line is showing with only 6 funds under consideration. Currently, there are 7, but until 2018, it is going to consider the performance of only 6 funds.
Okay, right.
Correct? Now, let's say you want to analyze this portfolio basis the time period when all the funds in the portfolio existed and started trading. So then what you will do is you will again click on start date, change, and you will choose minimum common period. The moment you click on that, automatically the youngest fund's start date will be chosen as the start date by default. So that's 23rd of October 2018. That is Axis Growth Opportunities launch date.
Is it the right approach actually? Because since there may be 10 funds or 5 funds, and ideally when we are comparing certain portfolios, won't be ideally that we should keep it to minimum period so that everything will be marked into zero from that day?
So that's the reason we have given you that option, right? So you can definitely always go ahead and choose minimum common period as the start date for even two portfolio comparisons. So you can even, let's say you want to compare the prospective client's portfolio with this model portfolio, which has these 7 components. You can practically note which is the minimum common period and then load 23rd of October 2018, right? As the custom start date and compare to portfolios. So that's definitely something that you can do.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, I have written in the chat box as well. It is not related to model portfolios or comparison of portfolios, but can you please let me know how I can check the turnover percentage for funds?
So by turnover percentage, do you mean the changes in the stocks they do, or are you referring
Yes,
to portfolio turnover percentage?
both.
All right. So portfolio turnover percentage is not something that we have as of now on the platform. We will check this with our data provider. With respect
Okay.
to changes in the stocks that are
Mm-hmm.
made in the funds portfolio, that's definitely available. So Ashi, let's click on any particular fund. So this gets opened in a new tab, and we are now going to check their asset allocation. Under asset allocation, there is this position changes by month, which is the second subtab. This will tell you as compared to the previous month, what were the additions that were done in this month. So
Okay.
these are completely new positions added, completely the positions completely deleted, right? Increases are mentioned right there into green. Now, if you want to see this as a trend for the last 12 months, month on month, then there is an option called positions over time. You can click on that and you will see for the last 12 months, month on month, sector or for that matter, stock changes trend. So in this case, let's take an example of ITC, right? ITC is a stock. It's holding on to Parag Parikh. Parag Parikh as a mutual fund held on to ITC as a stock to an extent of 5.76% in its portfolio in the month of July 2024, which reduced to 5.65%. Now, this reduction could be allocable to two things. One, it could be because of the number of shares have actually reduced,
Mm-hmm.
or number two, the price of ITC has reduced. Therefore, it has gone down from 5.76 to a 5.65. So how do you check that? You have the toggle to check it as shares in lakhs. Currently, it is set as percentage. You change it to shares in lakhs, and then you see ITC is right there. There is practically no change in the number of shares held
Mm-hmm.
of ITC as a stock. The decrease is therefore completely allocable to reduction in price of ITC as a stock. That is mark to market of losses is what has happened month on month. As compared to July, the price of ITC as a stock has reduced in the month of August. That's why you can see reduction and you change it to percentage.
Ma'am, but this I have to do for like like for every fund I have to check it on an ad hoc basis. I can't compare it like simultaneously for all the funds, right?
Yeah, you
By
can.
going to
Definitely you
them.
can. We showed it to you on a single fund basis. If you want to check it on a stock level, right? So you simply go to funds section. There is this holdings analysis that we have. You click on holdings analysis and we have stock changes under that. So you click on stock changes, you pick a stock that you want to analyze. Let's say, for example, let's take ITC only into consideration. It's right there. So you can see across all the across all the equity asset class funds. Now in equity asset class, everything, large cap, mid cap,
Mm-hmm.
small cap, flexi cap, everything comes in, right? So you see month on month from July to August, this was the change. So 4.04 was the holding into ITC as a stock as on 31st of July, which is reduced to 3.797. You can click on that cell and you can know the funds that hold on to that as well.
Okay,
And
okay,
again, this
okay.
is downloadable into an Excel sheet.
Okay, ma'am, another question. Actually, I was comparing, I was doing my analysis and comparing funds, like let's suppose for a mid cap category.
Okay.
And yeah, I was doing for basically large cap, and in the I went to the compare portfolio compare tab and did my analysis by selecting the category as large cap. On the drawdown tab, I was not able to select date before 2024. So I was not able
Yeah,
to
that's
select
because
previous
you
year.
would have
Mhm.
understood. That's because you would have added a younger fund in the list, because in the drawdowns analysis, you
Mhm.
will be restricted from going behind the youngest fund's start date, right? Me give you a simple example. Ashi, can we go to the screener? Just choose. You said large cap, right? So we are just
Yes,
taking
ma'am.
simple examples. So large cap funds and click on close. Okay, let's check. Let's take the first fund, that's iPro Blue Chip. Just click on compare, right? And sort it ulta, engine fund score, and let's take the youngest fund, right? Let's say Bajaj Finserv Large Cap. This is a pretty young fund. So both of these funds are added to the compare section. You see one fund is 16-year-old. That's iPro Blue Chip,
Mhm.
16-year-old fund. Bajaj Finserv
Mhm.
Large Cap is 0.10 years old, right?
Mhm.
Now, the
Mhm.
moment you click on drawdowns, you will be restricted to go beyond 23rd of August 2024, which happens to be the start date of Bajaj Finserv Large Cap,
Okay.
right?
So,
If you want to go beyond that, you will have to remove Bajaj Finserv Large Cap from the compare section. Only then you'll be allowed to go back in time.
okay. So maybe
Yeah.
I have to download data from all the tabs at the first go and then later do my analysis on the drawdown part by eliminating the new funds.
Yes, younger funds. Correct. Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem.
See, my question over here is the same thing. If you click on the return columns
Yes.
and choose it for say last two years,
Hmm.
then the start date which is there, where the option is that we choose it for any past 2 years. Just take an
Yeah.
example, 1 year,
Yeah,
2 year.
so of course the restriction to go back in time will not be over here. The restriction to go back in time will be typically in rolling returns, drawdowns, every other tab other than this main list, right?
Yeah, got you. Let's see, if
Yeah.
I put a, which is more authentic date, if I put
Hmm.
the date for last 2 years in the column, but the
Yeah.
start date, which is their select date, it is
Hmm.
always show that the funds has the least initiation. You just put it a date for last 2 years in return column,
Ashi, let's take an example. Click on settings wheel, 2022 September. Yeah. First. Yeah.
and then select the
Yes.
date of the start date near this. There's a fourth option, which is next to
Yeah.
the
So
bench.
for the return, relative returns, yes.
Yeah,
So for this, you'll have to enable the relative returns. And again, here you will be restricted from going back in time. Yes.
it will show actual the returns from that this particular date to till date.
Yes. Always. The youngest fund start date, it will stop you from going beyond the youngest fund start date.
That is what I was.
Yes.
In that case, the returns and every data will be from
Hmm.
the date of 23rd August
Yes.
2024 instead
In
of.
the pink color coded columns. Yes. In the
Yeah,
pink color coded columns. That
yes,
is
yes,
correct.
absolutely.
Yes.
And ma'am, could you please ask the data provider and will you be adding the portfolio turnover
Yes,
percentage?
we will definitely check with them. If that's something that we have. You will
Mm-hmm.
see this update coming onto the platform in the next couple of months or so. We will check on this with
Okay.
the data provider. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Madam, how many model portfolios we have and how they are constructed?
No, so model portfolios was an example that we created. There is no
Okay.
limit as to number of model portfolios that you can add on the platform, but there will be no
Okay.
model portfolios added by default,
Acha,
right?
we
You will
have to
have
create them. We have
yes,
to.
yes. Yes,
correct.
doing the research, you
Acha,
can create your model portfolios. Yes.
I thought you are giving some guideline on model portfolio. You are not providing 2, 3 conservative, aggressive kind of model portfolios.
As of now, no. As of now, no.
Okay, okay. Because if you can provide, that will be very nice actually. But that gives some common base, no?
Yeah, understand we are honestly working on strategies which typically will address this, but that is something that is under works. We are working on that.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah, so that functionality will
okay.
definitely show up.
Because you can
Yeah.
always backtest those portfolios maybe, and
Yes.
adding different parameters, it will be a better one. Because if we create and if we compare our model portfolio, it may not be very scientific, and it may happen that it is not performing better than the client's current portfolio. It may happen many times rather.
That's right. So
It may
we
happen
are
once in a time, fine, but it may happen many times actually.
yeah we are working on something, and I think hopefully we are hoping in the month of October we will start at least introducing some of those new features as well.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? Please let us know. So there's a question in the chat box which says changes to portfolios will be available in the portfolio section or in the portfolio comparison. So yes, so changes made in the funds portfolio is available on a single fund basis, or you can definitely check overall basis in the funds section in the holdings analysis. This is not available in the portfolio comparison. Yeah. All right, if there are no more questions, Ashi, we can close for today.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining in. You can visit our YouTube channel and find a dedicated webinar playlist created. So as of now, there are 130 videos, and today's video will be released by next week. Thank you, everyone, and happy weekend.